Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee. In this show, we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, happy Thursday, everyone. Hope you are all enjoying your week. The weekend is almost upon us. I'm excited. Saturday college football starts. That's right, guys. Football season is upon us. And in Texas, it's everything. They'll show a high school football game here in Texas before they'll show an NBA basketball game. It's nuts. But I'm excited. My Fighting Irish are playing the Michigan Wolverines Saturday night. Big rivalry game. My best friend, Bryce, actually is a big Wolverine fan, and every year we do a bet for when they play each other. This year we're betting a bottle of booze. I'm really hoping the Irish pull it out. I'm pulling for them. Go Irish. But we're not here to talk about sports, guys. We're here to talk about the opposite of sports, which is all things geek. Got a lot of stuff to cover. I didn't do a show on Tuesday. Well, technically I did do a show on Tuesday, but I didn't have time to post it because I was busy with work and family. Life, pretty much, right? Life gets in the way. So I didn't post it. It wasn't that good of a show, so I didn't really do anything. So I'm going to do a show today. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's just get right into it. Coming off the top last night, DC Universe YouTube page had a live stream introducing the world to the DC Universe streaming service that's coming out soon, hosted by Kevin Smith. He sat down with the crew that was going to be part of the DC Daily Show, this news weekly show that's going to be on the streaming service. And some of them I recognize, Tiffany Smith probably being my favorite. I've seen her on Collider Jedi Council and DC All Access. Given the fact that I've already signed up for the yearly service, I'm probably going to be watching this and many other things. But a couple of pieces of news we got from this live stream was that, first off, DC Universe will go live September 15th. In about 2 weeks, we're going to be able to access DC Universe. As I said, I've already signed up for the year subscription, so I'm all set to go. And they said also that the first original series, Titans, is going to be on the streaming service October 12th. However, it's going to premiere at New York Comic Con on October 3rd. So people at New York Comic Con get a little bit of sneak peek. The rest of us who signed up for the service get it October 12th, and new episodes are going to be coming out Friday on DC Universe. And this live stream, I was anxious to see what they were going to do, give us new material or new announcements, and they did a little bit of that. But for the most part, it was almost like I was watching the Home Shopping Network because, yeah, they were introducing us to everything. They even got some of the executive producers from Young Justice Outsiders, which I was excited about on there. I'll talk about that in a sec. But the whole time they were just trying to sell everyone on subscribing to the service and especially signing up for the year-long service in which you get 3 extra months, so really 15 months of it. I've already signed up for it, so I thought it was going to be like an hour long at most, and at 2 hours, they still weren't done. So I just turned it off because honestly, it was getting boring at that point to me. They'd already come out with all the news and stuff that I actually wanted to hear about. So, it was just, it got a little too long, in my opinion. But in regards to Young Justice Outsiders, that doesn't come out till next year. But we did get a clip from the series with Nightwing, aka Dick Grayson, and he's talking to Oracle. Now, in the comics, Oracle is Barbara Gordon, and we saw Barbara Gordon as Batgirl in Young Justice Invasion. I'm sure time has passed in between Invasion and Outsiders, so I'm curious about that transition. And some people I saw online were really excited for the idea of Oracle, because if you don't know what happens, in The Killing Joke, Barbara Gordon gets shot by the Joker and becomes paralyzed, so she can no longer be Batgirl. So because she becomes Oracle, where she, is on the computer all day and just, talking to the Justice League, coordinates the heroes, still plays an important role in the DC universe. And a lot of people are excited that this character who has a disability could be featured. People are excited about that and the possibility of Oracle in Young Justice Outsiders. I'm just excited in general for Young Justice to come back. As I've said before, I love the first 2 seasons. Now, my buddy Aaron, I've had on the show, we've talked Arrowverse, he's signing up for a couple months of the service, and he's never seen Young Justice. So I told him, first thing you do is when you jump on the service, watch Young Justice. And they went through some of the stuff. You got all the animated series that are going to be on there. You got the Batman animated series, digitally remastered for HD, which they were talking about. The Blu-ray, I know, comes out in October. So if you're a big Batman fan, pick up the entire animated series pack on Blu-ray. You got the Young Justice series, Batman Beyond, Super Friends. That's all the animated stuff, and then some. Then you got live action series like Wonder Woman from the 70s, The Flash 1990 series, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. They actually had Terry Hatcher on, who played Lois in that. She came on for a little while and talked. And then the movies, of course, the Christopher Reeve movies, the Batman 90s movies, and a bunch of other stuff, not to mention comic books, digital comic books that I can read on my nice big screen TV. You're able to do that as well. And then merchandising, community as far as chats and topics, discussions. It's all, the DC community is really what it is. The main stuff I signed up for was the original stuff, but also there is that comfort of, if I want to watch Son of Batman, it's going to be on there. I don't have to, reserve it at the library, wait a couple days, and then watch it. So there's a convenience factor as well. Plus comics, they're going to have a bunch of comics on there from what they showed, going all the way from New 52 all the way back to Action Comics #1. You're going to be able to look at some of the first appearances of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and kind of browse those old school comics, which I think is cool. Now that DC has got this going on, people, have asked, what about Marvel? And I don't think that's going to happen, guys, mainly because Marvel is owned by Disney. Disney has plans for their Marvel stuff, especially with their own streaming service. Bob Iger came out a couple of days ago and just said that he has an official name for the Disney streaming service, Disney Play. Now, that doesn't come out till next year, but it's going to be between about $8 to $14 a month, which Netflix, I believe, is around $14. And then the DC Universe streaming service is going to be $7.99 a month. And they're going to, have a lot of stuff on there as far as Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, original content. They're doing a Marvel show, the Jon Favreau Star Wars series. Clone Wars is coming back. And then remakes of Lady and the Tramp, Sword in the Stone, and among other things. Of course, anything pretty much Disney from this point out is going to be on the Disney Play streaming service. That's fine. And that's where we're all going with this. All going to streaming services, guys, specializing. Whether Warner Brothers is going to start something different to where it's going to be all Warner Brothers, where they can include like Harry Potter, Lethal Weapon, other stuff that they've made a long history of movies. I don't know, but I like the idea of all my DC stuff all together. And to be fair, DC has had a longer history of success with their content as far as shows and movies than Marvel has. Sure, Marvel's got the old Hulk series with Bill Bixby. They've got a Spider-Man 70s series. And then there, I think, was a couple of Captain America movies. But DC going all the way back to, the 60s Batman, Christopher Reeve's Superman, of course, as I mentioned, the 90s Batman, and then you got the Super Friends animated series, amongst a lot of other things. They've got more successful or nostalgia stuff that I think people will actually want to watch than Marvel. I'm not saying Marvel doesn't have good stuff, especially, 90s animated. Gosh, X-Men, Spider-Man, that stuff is great. But again, Disney has plans for all the Marvel stuff, and I think eventually we're going to see all that stuff under the Disney Play streaming service to start off. It's just, Bob Iger said he wants to walk before he runs, put a few things on there at a time, and then build. And I think it's exactly what the DC Universe streaming service is going to do as well. People were asking questions about Smallville, shows from the Arrowverse, that kind of stuff. We can eventually find that on there. Kevin Smith said eventually, that's what their dream is. I'm sure there's rights issues to go along with all that, but I think both of these are going to start off small and get bigger and bigger which I'm completely fine with. But overall, last night, the live stream I felt was a little too much, but we did get a couple good pieces of information, and I'm excited for DC Universe coming out September 15th. Now, there is the rumor going around, this was reported by, what's the name of the place, Slash Report, that Underworld director Len Wiseman might be heading the first episode of the Swamp Thing show that's going to be on the DC Universe streaming service. Originally, James Gunn, who's directing Aquaman, was set to be executive producer and possibly directing the first episode. I don't really know Splash Report. I don't see them as a credible source, compared to Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline. So I wouldn't take this to heart. This is just something that popped up on comicbookresources.com, and it could be true. That's fine. Len Wiseman, I like the first Underworld movie. I like the next two after that. After that, they were crap. But he's also directed episodes of Lucifer and The Gifted. If he's directing the first one, that's fine. If James Wan does it, I'm fine with that too. But a lot of people are excited for the Swamp Thing show that's going to come, because they were talking again on the live stream about how you did have your Swamp Thing back in like the 90s TV series on USA, I believe it was. This one's going to have a little darker tone. They said it's going to be a little more truer to the roots of the Alan Moore classic run. I haven't read it. Swamp Thing, he's a cool character. I love him in Justice League Dark and how he interacts with all of them. But, of course, it's going to be on the streaming service. Of course, it's comic book property. I'm going to watch it because I have the streaming service. I might as well get my money's worth. Okay, keeping with this whole Disney streaming theme, I guess I'm kind of working in here. Disney XD, Lucasfilm, they came out with a new kind of featurette for their upcoming series, Star Wars Resistance. Now, the series is set to premiere in October on Disney XD, and it's set just a couple years before The Force Awakens, where you have Oscar Isaac coming back to voice Poe Dameron. And he has got this young guy, Jax, I believe is his name, and he has asked him to spy on the First Order. He's a young pilot caught up in this thing called the Colossus, and he's got Team Fireball. And this whole featurette is meeting Team Fireball, starting with Jax and what he is doing there. You also meet people like Yeager, and Yeager I found interesting because he's voiced by a guy named Scott Lawrence. And Scott Lawrence, if you don't know, has been in the business for a long time, been in a lot of TV, but he notably in the Star Wars universe, he's voiced Darth Vader quite a bit, actually, in animated stuff, video games, and he actually voiced Darth Vader in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. That everyone hates so much. Yeah, he did that. I don't hate it. I have my reasons for not hating it, and I'm going to tell you right now. Anakin just learned that his wife is dead, his unborn child is dead, and he pretty much was responsible for it. How else are you supposed to react to something like that besides, scream out and start breaking shit? How else are you supposed to react? So anyone who has a problem with that, no, I don't. That's my explanation why. If you don't like it, hit me up. I'll tell you why you're wrong. You saw a little hologram of General Organa. She's in there. I'm curious who they're going to get to do her voice. And this, this whole thing, Dave Filoni on there says creator, and then it had a bunch of the executive producers. Filoni's already said he's focusing on the Clone Wars for the streaming service, and he's got other people working on this. And I'm fine with that. I would much rather him focus on Clone Wars because, to be honest, I'm more excited about this. This is for little kids. That's what they said. It's a younger audience. They got BB-8 in there, and BB-8 is, this generation's or the new generation's R2-D2. I love R2-D2, but my daughter loves BB-8. I think BB-8 is going to be featured quite a bit in this series. So with Star Wars Resistance, I've already said I was going to check it out. This makes it seem a little more interesting to me. I don't think I'm still going to love it, but it might be something that, could be worth it. I know there are a lot of people out there kind of hating on it because it looks very youngish. And guys, I've said this before, okay? Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Disney, they're trying to grab that younger audience. They want to get my daughter to be a lifelong Star Wars fan. And shows like this is how they're going to do it. So I totally understand. But go online. You can check that out. Let me know what you think about Team Fireball's introduction on Disney XD. Okay, guys, last story of the day I want to talk about briefly. I'm going to try not to get heated on this, but I don't know. So last week it was announced that Disney is delaying Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 indefinitely. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Disney and Marvel Studios are kind of regrouping to figure out what they want to do with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 after the firing of James Gunn. So for those of you who have not followed this story, I'm going to try to give you a brief summary. James Gunn, 8 to 10 years ago, was working as kind of like a shock jock for this company, and he put out some tweets that were about pedophilia and rape, and this conservative group brought them back up, basically reposted them online, and Disney then went ahead and said, hey, we're going to distance ourselves from James Gunn, and he's no longer going to be working on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, this is after Gunn already turned in a script for Volume 3 as well. Then, a bunch of celebrities, especially the cast of Guardians, came out to support James Gunn. They're not saying, oh, they like their comments. He's saying, hey, James Gunn's not like this anymore. He knows it was wrong. He changed the way he does stuff. He's a different person now. He was working for a company where pretty much that was his job. He's a great guy. We support him. Dave Bautista, who plays Drax especially, says that he supported him and said that if they didn't use James Gunn's script, he wasn't going to do the movie. So after several weeks, Disney came out again and said, okay, just to make it official, James Gunn is not directing Volume 3. But I think they're still using his script from what I heard. And some people think that's a little hypocritical. You're trying to say, we don't associate with persons like this, but yeah, we're still going to use his script. And I have several thoughts on this, as you know. First and foremost, it was a conservative group that basically attacked James Gunn. They brought up these old tweets because Gunn is a very liberal, outspoken person on social media, and this was a cyber attack, is what it was really. And their job was to get James Gunn in trouble to shut him up. Now, I, for one, of course, obviously don't support those comments. James Gunn himself doesn't support these comments. But these were tweeted a decade ago, before James Gunn was director of Guardians of the Galaxy, before he was involved with Marvel and Disney, and he doesn't tweet about this stuff anymore. That's why cast members and people in Hollywood have come out to support him, because if he still tweeted this crap, they wouldn't do it. But he's not like that anymore. Okay, he's changed without anyone telling him to, hey, you probably should stop doing this. He did it all on his own, mainly because it was his job at the time to do kind of that shock jock stuff. And Disney, I think, messed up because they said, we've never seen this before. Bullshit, okay? Disney and Marvel are huge companies, okay? They don't hire someone to direct a major motion picture of theirs unless they know everything about them, okay? They knew about these tweets. They just thought nobody else would go as far back as to dig them out, but they did. And that's really what it came down. So I'm a little disappointed in Disney. I am, however, a little happy that they're still probably going to use his script. Now, James Gunn has made these characters what they are, set them up, and I would like to have seen him continue through Volume 3 into what I would imagine be a whole trilogy arc with them. If he can't direct it, at least use his script to use the characters' evolution or the evolving of these characters that he had planned. I think that's something fair that we can do, at least to, just see what the vision was, because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and Volume 2 were good. I'm still kind of back and forth which one I liked better, but I enjoyed them both And just to see that natural progression of the characters with a script, I think is the right thing to do. Of course, I think it's a little hypocritical of Disney to, say he can't direct, but they're going to use his script. He's getting paid. He's got bigger and better things. Of course, there are other offers coming his way. He's going to be fine. I also think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to be fine. Kevin Feige is going to find someone who's going to direct the hell out of it because that's what his job is, and he does a great job out of it. And I think it's all going to be okay. Just the way everything was handled, I'm not really a fan of. I don't like how a conservative cyber terrorist group, succeeded in their mission of taking out a vocal opponent, because that's wrong. I don't like how Disney immediately fired James Gunn, but now they're still going to use a script. The whole thing was just fumbled very badly. I'm not saying Disney did the wrong thing. I think they just fumbled their way through it, and it took several weeks to get where they should have gotten, in my opinion. But there it is, guys. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 delayed because of all this James Gunn stuff. Don't know when it's actually going to happen. It is going to happen, though. Some people are like, well, Guardians is done. Guardians is not done, okay? Look at the box office for the last two movies. Look how much people love Rocket and Groot and Star-Lord and Drax. Look at the merchandising, okay? Guardians is not going anywhere, okay? They're a major staple in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're going to be in Avengers 4. They're not going anywhere, guys, okay? Guardians Volume 3 will happen. It's just a matter of when. All right, well, that is it for me today. Time for you guys to fire back on the social media groups and Gmail account. Let me know what you think. Did you check out that live stream of the DC Universe? Did you think it was long like I did? Did you already sign up for the service? Let me know. Of course, what do you think of all this James Gunn Guardians Volume 3 drama? I'm sorry I went off on a little tangent there, but it's been boiling over the last few weeks and I haven't talked about it, so I just wanted to get it out. And then of course, Star Wars Resistant. Are you planning on checking out this series even though you're not 10 years old? Do you think it looks promising even if you're not a child? And do you think your child, if you have one, would watch it? Let me know, guys. Of course, you can find me personally, Slim Dayspring 12, on Instagram and Twitter. And that's it for me. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Go out, watch some football, watch some movies, watch some TV. Next week, guys, we got Iron Fist Season 2 comes out on Netflix. This week, Friday, we got that new Jack Ryan series with John Krasinski that comes out. I'm going to be checking that out this weekend. I'll probably share my thoughts on that on Tuesday. So that's it. Go out, enjoy the world, guys. Until next time, may the Force be with us all.